Why do we do what we do? What is our motivation to be successful? My motivation is to make interesting videos for you guys. Baltimore Ravens running back J.K. Dobbins' motivation is to succeed because of what happened to his father. But who is J.K. Dobbins? Leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you like these videos. I release football-related content every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Also, leave a like and comment letting me know who you want to see in the future videos. Ja'Kalen J.K. Dobbins was born on December 17, 1998 in Houston, Texas. Dobbins' work ethic came from his mother, Myra Grounds. Myra had J.K. when she was 18 years old. She had played basketball and volleyball in high school, but due to motherhood, she was unable to play either in college. Having a child in high school is tough, but that did not stop Myra from going to college. She graduated from the University of Houston with a degree in finance. J.K.'s father went down a different path. According to Cleveland.com, Lawrence Dobbins was a star running back at LaGrange High School. He did not have great grades in high school, so he used track as a way to receive an education. He attended Lincoln University, a D3 historically black college in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where he ran track on the 4x100 meter team. There, he would almost win a national championship, finishing second, but did not get the same excitement in track that he got from football, so he left. The three other runners returned the next year and won the national championship. Lawrence then transferred to Blind College in Texas. He wanted to play football at Blind, but when he did not get a lot of playing time, he quit. Lawrence then jumped job to job and got caught up in the wrong group. Lawrence told J.K. he did not want him to make the same mistake he had. When J.K. was 15, his father passed away from a stroke while in prison. Dobbins is quoted saying, "That was a turning point in my life, and that made me grow up at a young age." J.K. attended LaGrange High School like his father. During his sophomore year, Dobbins rushed for 2,243 yards and 37 touchdowns. In 2015, Dobbins rushed for 2,740 yards and 35 touchdowns. Dobbins was named the Class 4A All-State team and led LaGrange to 2 state playoff appearances. Going into Dobbins' senior year, he was the Nike Plus Football Ratings champion at the Open in Beaverton, Oregon. Expectations and excitement were high for Dobbins. Then everything came crashing down. On the first play of his senior season, Dobbins rushed for 13 yards but would break his ankle and fibula. His season was over. Dobbins was still named a U.S. All-American, and his career at LaGrange rushed for 5,149 yards and 74 touchdowns. J.K. Dobbins was a 4-star recruit according to 24/7 Sports. He was the number 2 all-purpose back, 7th best player in Texas, and 43rd best player nationally. Other running backs in his class included Jonathan Taylor, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Travis Etienne. He had over 25 Division I offers from the likes of Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Texas, USC, and Wisconsin. Dobbins decided to commit and enroll at Ohio State in January of 2017. While at Ohio State, Dobbins developed a close relationship with his running backs coach, Tony Alford. Alford had an open-door policy, and Dobbins took full advantage of that. Around the same time Dobbins lost his father, Alford had lost his brother. Alford's nephew was around the same age as Dobbins, and Dobbins helped his nephew by giving advice to him. Dobbins and Alford would develop a father-son relationship, and the Alfords would become his family away from home. Going into his freshman year, his mother tried to prepare Dobbins that he may not get a lot of playing time. Dobbins told his mother he was going to Ohio State to compete. All Dobbins wanted to do was play football after missing his entire senior season. Going into the first game of the season against Indiana, Dobbins was named the starter. He decided not to tell his mother, and when she found out at the beginning of the game, she started to cry from happiness. Dobbins rushed for 181 yards on 29 attempts, averaging 6.2 yards per carry against them. In the game against Army, he rushed for 172 yards and 2 touchdowns on 13 attempts. Dobbins ran all over Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game, rushing for 174 yards on 17 attempts. Dobbins rushed for 1,403 yards and 7 touchdowns on 194 attempts, averaging 7.2 yards per carry that season. He was named to the 2017 Freshman All-American team by ESPN, as well as the second team All-Big Ten. Ohio State went 12-2 that season and won the Cotton Bowl. Dobbins performed well his sophomore season. He rushed for 121 yards on 18 attempts against TCU. He then rushed for 163 yards and 3 touchdowns on 23 attempts against Nebraska. His biggest game of the season came when he rushed for 203 yards and a touchdown on 37 attempts against Maryland. Dobbins rushed for 1,053 yards and 10 touchdowns, having 12 total touchdowns on 230 carries, averaging 4.58 yards per carry. Ohio State went 13-1, beating Washington in the Rose Bowl. Dobbins always seemed to be in the shadow of Jonathan Taylor. Everyone always talked about Jonathan Taylor for the Heisman, but Dobbins always seemed to be the second fiddle when it came to the running backs in the Big Ten. Dobbins seemed to run angry his junior season at Ohio State. He ran for 193 yards and 2 total touchdowns on 22 attempts against Indiana. He rushed for 177 yards on 24 attempts against Nebraska. He followed that up against Michigan State with 172 yards and a touchdown on 24 carries. In the game against Wisconsin, while Jonathan Taylor struggled, Dobbins rushed for 163 yards and 2 touchdowns on 20 carries, while also having 3 receptions for 58 yards. In the rivalry game against Michigan, Dobbins rushed for 211 yards and 4 touchdowns on 31 carries, as well as 2 receptions for 49 yards. In the Big Ten Championship, he rushed for 172 yards and a touchdown on 33 carries, leading Ohio State to the win. Ohio State then played Clemson in the college football playoff semifinals. Dobbins put Ohio State on his back and exploded in the first half of the game, but would injure his ankle. Dobbins finished the game with 174 yards and a touchdown on 18 carries, as well as 6 receptions for 47 yards and a heartbreaking loss to Clemson. Dobbins rushed for 2,003 yards and 23 touchdowns on 301 carries. He also had 247 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. Dobbins won the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award, which according to the awards website is to recognize the nation's college offensive player of the year who meets the award criteria to encourage student athletes to succeed on and off the field while having the drive and tenacity to persist and overcome adversity and injury in pursuit of reaching their goals. Dobbins was a Doak Walker Award finalist, first team All-American, and first team Big Ten. He also finished 6th in the 2019 Heisman vote. In his career at Ohio State, he rushed for 4,459 yards and 38 touchdowns on 725 attempts. Dobbins also had 71 receptions for 645 yards and 5 touchdowns in his career. He became the first player ever to eclipse 2,000 rushing yards in a season at Ohio State. He also was the first player ever to rush for 1,000 yards in their freshman, sophomore, and junior season at Ohio State. He finished second behind Archie Griffin in career rushing yards at Ohio State. When Dobbins rushed for over 100 yards in a game, Ohio State was 18-1, only losing to Clemson in his last career game. At the NFL Combine, Dobbins measured to be 5'9" and 209 pounds. He did 23 reps on the bench press, but could not perform any of the other drills due to the injury he suffered in the college football playoffs. Going into the draft, people had Dobbins rated anywhere from the best running back in the draft to the 5th best running back in the draft. I believed he was the 2nd best running back in the draft behind Jonathan Taylor. Dobbins was drafted in the 2nd round, 23rd overall by the Baltimore Ravens. He was the 5th running back taken in the draft behind Clyde Edwards-Helaire, DeAndre Swift, Jonathan Taylor, and Cam Akers. He's in a fantastic situation with Baltimore, and the 3-headed rushing attack involving Lamar Jackson, Mark Ingram, and J.K. Dobbins is terrifying. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and if you like this video, check out my other videos in the Who Is series.